What is going on, everybody? Rich here from Fit Fusion Brotherhood. In today's video, we're going to talk all about the squat. So 3 of the most common mistakes I typically see, I'm going to tell you how to correct it. That way you can stay injury free, blow up your strength, and improve your form at the same time. I also have a bit of a bonus test for you at the end as well, so stay tuned for that. But for now, let's get to the 3 common mistakes, and I'll tell you to fix them in these 3 simple steps. Mistake number 1 I typically see is trying to do the same squat stance for every single person, right? So maybe you heard like a coach say, or maybe you've read on the internet, like you gotta squat this way with your stance, like feet straight or feet out, wherever it may be, and you're trying to follow that to a T, and maybe your squat doesn't look as good as what you want. Now, I'm gonna give you a test for you to kind of determine what should be your squat stance, because here's the thing, our hips are all built differently. Some people's hips are more kind of built this way, a little more outwards, some are a little more neutral, some are a little more in. So if we're trying to squat in, but our hips are pointing out this way, then your squat's just not simply gonna look as good. So a bit of a test we're gonna do right now, and I want you to do this actually for yourself and kind of do it with me right now. So the first thing you're gonna do is go feet just about shoulder width apart with your toes pointing nice and straight. So kind of like the traditional squat stance you'll see a lot of coaches teach. So right here, shoulder apart, toes straight, and I want you to look at my back, and just kind of spot overall how I do it, and then do it yourself right after. I'm gonna do 2 good reps, or 2 reps. So for me, not bad, but feels like a little bit stiff, right? Now the second squat stance test I want you to do the same thing with your toes straight, except now just go a little bit wider with your feet. So if the shoulder width is here, just go a little bit wider than the shoulder width. And now same thing, I want you to look at my squat and then do this test again for yourself. I'll do 2 reps. Felt a lot better, right? So you probably my squat probably noticed it was a little bit better. Now the third test I want you to do is go feet the same position you just were, but now just put the toes out a little bit more. So instead of having them straight, point them out just a little bit more, and same thing, this will be our final test. Give me 2 reps here, and you can kind of look at me as well, and you can kind of see which one you think looked best for myself. So for me, I think squat B was the best stance. I'll check the video, of course, but typically speaking, I don't like squat. When I'm kind of going feet shoulder apart, toes straight, that's the best squat stance for me. However, it's gonna really differ for yourself, right? Because some people, like I said, hips are more out. So if your hips are more out this way, you'll probably go more toes out, feet wider stance. If it's more when they're neutral, you can probably just go a little bit outside the shoulder width, kind of where I was at. And if you're a little more in terms of your hips, then you might have to go the first stance with your feet straight and your feet about hip width apart as well. So try that test for you, and the common mistake I typically see, like I said, is just trying to do one squat stance, where in reality you have to find it individualized for yourself. So make sure you get that part right, which will lead us to step number 2. So hopefully when you get this right, your squat should look a lot better right away. But common mistake number 2 that I typically see is folding at the bottom position, and I'll show you what I mean here, and I'll tell you why this happens. So it kind of look like this, right? And let's pretend I'm a barbell. I'm just filming my condo. It's easier to film. I don't like filming the gym. It's kind of awkward. So let's pretend I'm a barbell right here. But I'm coming down the squat. Everything looks great. But when I kind of get here at the bottom, we start to fold a little bit, right? So we're coming down. It looks good. And then we kind of come up or at that bottom range. We start to kind of bend over a bit more and maybe get a little bit of pain in the lower back. Or you just, you're losing strength and just doesn't simply look as good in terms of your squat position. Now, this can happen for a variety of reasons. We'll talk about a few main reasons here. Number 1, again, it could be your squat stance. So like if you fix your squat stance for test number 1, hopefully it's problem fixed. A couple things it could be as well. It could be just lack of control at the bottom position. So let's say you have the mobility to get down, but you just can't control it. That's a motor control issue. That's a video for another day. It could be just your depth's just not good. So maybe you're missing hip mobility or ankle mobility. So when you kind of get low, we start to kind of fold over. And again, I have a couple tests for you at the end as well, so stay tuned for that. And the 4th reason, and this is probably a pretty common reason as well, is maybe your quads just simply aren't strong enough. So let's say you're loading the weight pretty good. You get down here, when you come up, you start folding like that. Anytime your torso starts kind of going forward, you're basically taking less pressure off the quads. You're using your hips and even your lower back a lot more to get yourself more upright. So that's a pretty common thing as well. And a test for that you can do, just lower the weight a little bit, do the same thing. And if you lower the weight and it looks a lot better, then just simply means it's a weight issue for you and your quads probably just can't handle the load you're doing. Now the bar path we want in a squat, again, let's pretend we visualize that pretend bar right here. We want it basically right over the mid-foot. So if you kind of visualize here, the bar is on my back. It should kind of almost pass through my mid-foot, basically throughout the range of motion, give or take like a centimeter, right? It doesn't have to be exact, but what we want to try to avoid doing is that line kind of tipping over. So the cool thing you can do, you can video yourself, get a bar on your back, do it, and does it kind of line up with your mid-foot the whole time, or does the bar start kind of going over towards your toes in that bottom position and then kind of going zigzagging back and up? The straighter your line can be, the better it's going to be. So the best way to fix this common mistake is, again, it depends what issue it is for you. Again, it could be squat stance, it could be depth, it could be lack of mobility. The best thing you can do though, regardless of what issue it is, just don't go as heavy and don't go as deep. And what you basically do is, let's say you're 3/4 down, you add a pause at the bottom, and then you come back up. So adding that pause will really teach you to control that motion. It's gonna work on your stability, and then when you get more comfortable, you can start increasing the depth. When that feels good, start increasing the weight, and then you can kind of figure out what issue might be. Of course, if you go lower, then and you start rounding, then it's a depth issue. If it's like, you go lower, but it's still good, when you add more weight, then you know it's probably like a quad issue. And again, it could be squat stance, but that was test number 1, so hopefully you figure that out. But hope that makes sense for mistake number 2. So just make sure you're not kind of folding too much at the end. And I told you a few ways you can fix that. The best way, just go a little lighter, add a pause, and then kind of build your strength up and build your depth up, and then you can determine the bottleneck for that. Common mistake number 3 before we get into the bonus test here. Now this one I see a lot, and this can happen for a variety of reasons as well, but I find this happens because of one main reason. First off, the mistake is the open scissor bluff, right? So maybe this is you, or maybe somebody knows one. You've probably seen someone squat like this, where they got that really extended, so that arching back posture, when they're squatting down, and they just can't get deep, or it just causing pain in their back at the same time. Now, the reason I find this happens a lot is because of the head position. A lot of times we're looking up as we're squatting down, and we're really extended at the neck. Now do this test, or you just gotta look at me right now. When I'm neutral, my back is relatively straight, right? It might be a bit of an arch, but that's just like a natural arch, of course. But when I extend my neck, look at my back. It's extending all the way with it at the same time. But if I kind of go neutral or I'm flexed, then my lower back kind of follows the same thing in the same direction my neck's going. It's the same thing when you squat, because, well, I'll tell you to fix it here in a second. But when we squat, our torso is usually a little bit this way. So our kind of like line of vision, and this is gonna be this direction. But a lot of times if our head is like this, our head is straight, but our torso is down here. So we're putting a lot of pressure on the neck, which is leading to extension, which leads to a lot of lower back extension as well. So the fix for that, sorry, I'm probably hearing some like buzzing going on, just some windows outside my condo, so hopefully it's not too distraction. But the cue for this basically is chin tucked and just keep it the same direction you're moving in. So if you're more of like a hip squatter, then you have to go a little bit lower with your neck, of course. If you're kind of that neutral position, it should be just kind of lined up with your torso. And again, this is neutral, this isn't neutral, because this is straight as your body's going down, and you're just putting a lot of extra pressure on your neck and your lower back that way, which can limit depth, limit how much you lift, and cause you back pain at the same time. So really check your neck position for that there. The bonus test for you. So let's say you've done like everything great, and maybe you realize, okay, it's a mobility issue. There is a hip mobility test you can do, but typically speaking, it's probably gonna come from an ankle mobility issue. So the test you're gonna do is a 5-inch wall test. So let's pretend there's like a wall right in front of you right here. What you're gonna do is get your fist, extend your thumb from your big toe, extend it out, and give or take, it's gonna go 5 inches from the wall. And what you're gonna try to do while keeping your heel flat, you're gonna try to push your knee all the way towards the wall and see if you're gonna reach it or not, and do it for both sides. So if you're like this much short, then there's a good indication you have an ankle stiffness issue, and that's probably the reason why you just can't get low in a squat. Because in a squat, you actually need your knees to travel over your toes, right? Like let's pretend there's like a block right here where my knees can't drop my toes. If I'm squatting down and I can't get over that block and I keep going down, eventually my hips and lower back are gonna run out of room, and we're gonna just kind of lose mobility in that way. But your knees have to go over the toes, so if it can't get there, what you can do in the meantime, I'm not going to talk about improving ankle mobility today, because again, I can make this video 2 hours long if I go into every single detail. You can elevate your heels with some weights. Maybe put a couple of plates behind it, and I'll just elevate my heels without showing you on weights, but obviously don't squat in your ticket coat, so you're gonna do it right now. But look at my heels are elevated now. Look at the difference. I'm all more upright because my calves are on slack, and I just don't need as much extensibility in my calves with the heels elevated. And that can be a good temporary solution for you until you actually hopefully fix your ankle mobility long term, and then you can obviously squat without the use of elevated heels. Hope that makes sense. Hope that helps. So 3 common mistakes, and I got a bit, like I said, a bit of a bonus thing I talked to you at the end about. So number 1, again, find your squat stance, whether it's kind of toe straight, feet a little bit wider, or both. Number 2, make sure you're not folding at the bottom position. So to improve that, just kind of do not as deep in terms of your depth, a little bit lighter weight. Once you master that, see if you go a little lower, go a little bit heavier, and kind of find out what the bottleneck issue is, whether it's a weight issue, the squat stance issue, which might have been corrected already, or even like an ankle mobility issue. And the third one is more the open scissor. So if you kind of get that extended back posture and that back pain, tuck your chin a little bit more, make sure your head's in line with your torso, opposed to being in that extended position. Now, we're running a free masterclass Thursday, October 3rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is going to be more for people who want to lose 10 to 30 pounds of stubborn belly fat. And we're going to really dive into how to get stronger. So this is going to be the workout related, how to show a workout program and structure, how to get stronger, and how to just injury free. And we're basically going to take you through week 1 of our stomach shred, how we design a program, and give you all the details you need to design the perfect workout program. So if you're struggling in terms of what exercise you should do, maybe your strength's at a plateau, maybe you're a bit injured, your joints feel built up, and you're just trying to lose 10 to 30 pounds of stubborn belly fat, and you're killing yourself in the gym with like a lot of endless cardio and maybe HIIT training and maybe CrossFit workouts, we're gonna show you how you do it in a lot easier and better way with even shorter workouts. So make sure, I'm gonna put the link in the description below. Feel free to register. Like I said, it's free. If you can't watch it live, you can catch the replay, and it's gonna be some fantastic information for you. That's it for today's video. If you have any questions, drop in the comments below, and I hope this video was useful for you.